What's up, everybody? This is Ryan with Rank Fantasy Sports. I'm so glad that you've ended up here, however you got here. I just wanted to kind of show you guys what RFS is all about. Kind of start off what our goal is and what my goal is to provide a place for people that want information that they're going to need to use to play in DraftKings, FanDuel, any daily fantasy sports. Just kind of a central place where you can go to find the information that you need, where you don't feel like, hey, I have this information, but I need to do all of this other research. That's what I'd want to build in a company, something that's valuable for the people that were using it to save them time, save them energy, make them feel comfortable, make them feel like they know the information that they think they need to know to be able to make winning DraftKings lineups consistently. And what I feel like makes us different is I don't feel like there's just one place that you can go right now to find all the stats that you want, to get information, to get input, to see all the analysis in one central place, um, and just a place that's views it all as fun and make sure that that's at the heart of it. That's what always is going to be at the heart of this for me. I started playing fantasy sports because I love to watch sports. I feel like we have a lot of valuable information to help you play responsibly, and not just to play responsibly to be boring, but to play responsibly to be able to make it all more fun. There's nothing worse than having too much money on a lineup and then you can't even enjoy your Sunday or watching these two games or watching this great game because you don't have the guy that's going off. So playing responsibly to make it more fun and just a good place with good people and good information that you guys are going to want to have to help you build winning consistent lineups in DraftKings or any daily fantasy sports sites that you want to play on. But specifically to start off with, we are going to be using DraftKings because from everything that I can see, it is the most widely used daily fantasy sports site. It's what I've used ever since I first stumbled upon it. So, you know, for me, I've always loved data. Whenever I was a little kid, I would get spiral notebooks, and when fantasy football season was about to start, I'd have a spiral notebook and a calculator, and I'd go get like three fantasy sports magazines, and I'd do my projections for all the players by adding up the total yards for Matt Stafford from all three of these different magazines, and then dividing it by three, and handwriting all that out and calculating it that way. So that then in college and late high school, early college, I figured out how to use Excel efficiently and really, really well. So ever since then, I've been building data models and learning from my mistakes and really trying to nail down the right things to look at for all these different sports to be able to make correct lineup decisions based off of good, solid projections. So, you know, there's there's so many things that are a part of this that you really want to take the time to, if you're building a data model, you really want to take the time to study your data model, see, hey, this is kind of what this is predicting, this is where it's off consistently, how can I make adjustments? And that's what I feel like I've done and that I do have a really good skill at. So what I kind of wanted to do in this is just show you guys what you'd be getting just from a couple of sports that we've built data models on rankfantasysports.com. So to start off, I'll just say this we're starting at the very base of the things we need to look at to determine how we see a slate going. So, like for a team sport, we're going to have, like for basketball, we're going to have an adjusted based off of who they've played, who were out when they played, where they played, all those things. We're going to have a offensive score and a defensive points allowed score for that team and an adjusted point margin. And for all the teams, so if like for a team sport, we're going to have like power rankings, if you will. But like for football, we'd have, how many yards just against an average team we'd think that they're projected for, not just, hey, they played 4 games, they've played these 4 teams, and they're averaging 320 pass yards. It's more like, hey, they played these 4 teams, their defenses versus what we think that their offense is. This is how we're going to project them to do in this game against this defense. And then here's what they actually did. So then we're going to adjust it based off of that difference instead of just, hey, they've played 4 games, they've thrown for 1,600 yards, so they're a 400 pass yard per game team without even taking into account what defenses they played and things like that. So for a team sport, we'll have those stats for each team, our own adjusted based off of our algorithms, what we think that team is. And then for an individual sport, we'll have ratings as well, plus the statistics. So it's not just going to be you're getting their statistics. We're going to have the teams or the players rated on a large list, plus all the relevant stats. So just kind of show you how that looks. Here we go. Sorry, it might take a second to pull up and switch over. All right, here we go, here we go, here we go. All right, and if you see me looking over to my right every now and then, there's a tennis match on my computer that I have a little vested interest in for DraftKings today. So I am kind of monitoring that closely to see what happens. All right, so here's tennis. So DraftKings came out with tennis during Wimbledon last year, and I've really just fallen in love with DraftKings tennis. I like to watch tennis. I think the men and women both are amazing. I mean, then to be out on the court for 2 to 5 hours and hitting these balls on the tiniest margins over and over and over again, I think is just amazing. But we'll have so for a tier rank, this is just men's, and this is their per per match DraftKings relevant statistics over the last couple months. So sorry, this program that I'm using is making my computer go slow, and it's making Excel try to reload. I was hoping this would go a little smoother than this, but well, I think you can still see it behind there. So you can see there's a tier rank for each player, and that's going to always be up to date. I haven't gone in and updated it yet after that Rafa Nadal match just finished, but he's going to move up a little bit with the way he played against Ajay Aliassim. So you'll have a tier rank, a player score, and that player score and the tier rank, they are related together because a player score, the most elite, the best player playing at his absolute best of all time would be a 20. So their tier rank is 20 minus their player score. So like I said, we'll have all of these players matched up, and right now it's adjusted to clay courts because we're in clay court season. So you'll have all these players rated out how they compare against each other. So you could say, okay, well, tomorrow Kate Nishikori and I think he's playing Tsitsipas tomorrow. Kate Nishikori and Tsitsipas are playing tomorrow. They're both 5.4 tier rank, so pretty dead even as far as how they have them rated right now. So we've seen they've measured 17 Tsitsipas matches over the last 2 months, 10 Nishikori matches. On average, Tsitsipas is winning by 0.65 breaks, and Nishikori's averaging zero point 0.4 breaks more than his opponent. That this difference adjustment, that's kind of like I was talking about for football. That's over the course of those matches per match, how many breaks we had them projected for versus what they actually did. So Tsitsipas is a little bit less than 0.1 worse than how we usually have them projected. Nishikori is 0.15 worse than how we usually have them projected. How many points won per match on average, points total played on per match on average, points won percentage. So none of those are DraftKings relevant, but right here you get into the DraftKings relevant stats. Those first 5 columns just kind of help us whenever we're trying to. That more helps us for the rating side of it. But so how many aces per match? Nishikori is 1.8 aces per match. Tsitsipas is 4.29. You get a bonus at 10 plus aces in a match, and Tsitsipas does that 0.06% of his matches. Nishikori has never done it in the matches we've measured. How many double faults per match? You get a bonus if you have 0 double faults in a match. How many breaks per match? You get points for breaks. How many games won per match? How many games lost per match? Sets won per match. Sets lost per match. How many matches they've won. So all of these things, how many straight set wins they've got, how many of those sets that they've won were clean sets where the other player scores 0, and then how many DraftKings points they're averaging. how many DraftKings points they're averaging, not from the win and loss statistics. So that's a pretty big deal. If you have two players projected pretty close, but one of them, like Tsitsipas is 31.7 DraftKings points from the stats that aren't win or loss related. His score is 30.8. So we really, really do feel like, as far as tennis goes, we've got the information that you guys would want whenever you're trying to build a DraftKings tennis lineup. So we'll have this. We'll have our own projections for each match that night. But if you wanted to take a closer look, go over to the tennis page, look at their stats from each matchup, make slight adjustments to it. Maybe you see something that we're not seeing, or you're taking something else into account at a higher weight that we're not. So that is how. So like if you went to the tennis page, went to the men's, that's one thing that you'd find there on rankfantasysports.com. So I think that is super valuable. I have not found any other websites that carry anything like this as far as tennis goes. So I think that that is super, super valuable for you guys. If you don't know a ton about tennis, but you want to start getting into tennis, I mean that would be exactly what I'd want to see if I hadn't already built this to make decisions on tennis lineups. So that's what we're always wanting to do. We're wanting to make this super easy for you guys to get into these sports. If you don't have time to follow tennis closely, you don't know anything about tennis yet, we want to make it easy for you guys to feel comfortable playing DraftKings tennis. So sorry, I had to check that match again real quick. All right. So we got Karen Khachanov versus Fernando Verdasco going right now, and they're in a first set tiebreak. Khachanov's up 4-3. I have Khachanov, so if you're somehow watching this live, please root for Khachanov. Okay, so this will kind of show you something as far as teams go. And if you go to our Facebook page and stuff, you'll see our power rankings and things like that. We're always adjusting them. But those power rankings is where something like this comes from. We use those power rankings. We plug them into a matchup generator that we have. And it's going to give us, this is the base of the decisions that we're going to make. So in basketball. So tonight we've got game 5 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the Celtics versus the Bucks. So you'll have access to all of this information as well. We've got the Bucks projected for 115 points, the Celtics for 104 points. We've got the total at 220, and then the Rockets and Warriors, we've got a total of 222. Got a projected Warriors 113, Rockets 108. So that's something that you'd want to know before you go into a game, before you go into a slate. So when you take that information, you can make assumptions before you even look at the players, anything like that. Well, as far as if I want to have the players in the game that's the closest for the most starters I want in a game, as long as the price is right, it's probably better to look at that Warriors Rockets game because it's projected as a 5-point game versus a little bit over a 10-point game in that Celtics Bucks. So that Celtics Bucks might have a slightly bigger chance for a blowout. So when you have somebody like Giannis and James Harden who are so closely priced together, something like this, taking it that one extra step further than just the projections, might help you make that decision in whether you're going to play James Harden or Giannis tonight if you're choosing between the two. So there's tons of other stuff that will be on the side, but I wanted to keep it as relatively simple as I could for the purposes of this video. Let me go back over here. All right. Sorry, I took some notes. Let me scroll down real quick. So those are just two glimpses into different things that you're going to get with us at rankfantasysports.com. Just to kind of talk about a little bit further how we view things. We're always wanting to find something that's not just looking at it at absolute face value. We're going to take the absolute face value stats, but as everybody that follows sports closely and has played DraftKings or bet on games know, it's not 1 + 1 = 2 when you're making decisions. Like if the 76ers played the Nets in their first round series and the Rockets played the Jazz, okay, the Nets are not known as a really, really good defensive team. Sorry to check it. Yes, Khachanov won the first set. That's good for us. So the Nets aren't known as a really, really good defensive team, but the Jazz, I mean, they're known as a really, really good defensive team. So I wouldn't just sit there and look at it as, okay, well, Joel Embiid averaged this many DraftKings points per minute in his series against the Nets, and James Harden averaged this many DraftKings points per minute in his series versus the Jazz. So that must mean that Joel Embiid's worth this many points per minute and James Harden's worth this many points per minute. Well, no, James Harden's going to be adjusted up a little bit as far as what we view him as against an average defense, because those DraftKings points per minute in that series was against such a tough D. And then Joel Embiid's adjusted DraftKings points per minute are going to be lower than what he actually did against the Nets, because we view the Nets as a less than average defensive team. So those face value stats are producing the initial number, but here at Rank Fantasy Sports, the thing that we think gives us the biggest edge is we feel like we know the right ways to adjust that back to something that puts everybody on an even playing field, and then readjust them based off of who they're playing next. So that'd be the easiest way that I could describe to you guys the main core of our thinking, and that would be the main thing that I could describe to you guys as the main edge that I feel that I have, and the main thing that you want, that if you don't have time to study this stuff all day or adjust all these things yourself, I think that if you that's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of research that are just helping us come up with that simple adjustment for everybody. And so that's where I feel like we'll give you such a major advantage over the normal competition, and save you so much time if you're not somebody that has time to follow this and do this all day long. Let us do that for you. That's what we want to be. We want to give you guys the best information that we can. We want to be on the leading edge of everything. We love watching sports, as we said, so we're not ever just going to be data driven. We're going to do things on the side down the road, like podcasts or blogs, that not, or videos, just simple slate breakdown videos for you guys that are in the group that have seen things like that. We're not just going to give you data and just say, hey, the data is what it is. We're also going to be using our minds, using our eye test, all those different things that we feel like we'd want if we were going to a site to find information like this. Like before this, I was working a job that I was there 13 to 15 hours a day, every single day. And when you're doing that, you just don't have the same ability to follow everything as closely as you would when you're not doing that. So if I had a site like this that I could have gone to, that I felt that I trusted, that I thought was dependable, that was constantly updating the data, and I could spend 20 to 30 minutes on there every single day, I would have been way more active on DraftKings than I was, because I'm never going to play a slate unless I feel like I'm at least even with the rest of the people in that slate as far as information. And so that's what we want to be able to give you guys. We want you guys, no matter what you're doing on a daily basis, no matter what your normal routine is, to have a place where you can go to be on that same playing field, but we feel like even above your average person in the playing field as far as the information that you have, that you've got from our site. So there's a button on the video that says sign up now. What's going to happen is you guys are going to be able to create a login. You're going to get 7 days free access, unlimited access to our website, to be able to see how these tables work, learn how to use these tables, and that is going to be so valuable for you. It's for free. You get to try it for free for 7 days, and then it'll start charging you. It's going to be $9.99 a month is the normal charge. We want everybody to be able to be on this site, to have access to all this information. We don't want to leave anybody out. That's why we're going so inexpensive. But most places that I've found that are in the same market as us are between the $25 and $50 a month mark. We wanted to be significantly lower than that. You're going to get to try 7 days for free and see if it's better than what you maybe already are subscribed to, where you're paying $25 or $30 or $50, or maybe you're not paying anything right now. And if you think that $9.99 a month, if you have the right information, if you think that that can pay off for you over the long run in DraftKings, then there's no excuse not to sign up for this free trial. There's no excuse not to give it a shot. We'd love for you guys all to be in that free trial. If you're into day 2 or 3 of that trial and you're finding things that you wish that you had on there, or don't understand how to use things, we're going to be accessible. We're going to help you guys. We want to make our site the absolute best site that you could think of as well. So click that button right now. It's right below me. Sign up now. Maybe it's ahead of me. Maybe it's on top of me. Maybe it's to the side of me. I don't know. But just click it. You'll find it on there. 7-day free trial, $9.99 a month after that. It's going to be awesome, you guys. I really think it's going to be valuable for you. And we want to be the best place for sports information. We want to be the place that you can go to feel 100% confident when you're entering a lineup into a slate, not to feel like you're at any disadvantage, not to feel like the Sharks know more information than you. We want you to have the ability to make one lineup if you want to play one lineup instead of having to play 20 to 25 to guess to find one that has the best chance to win. We want you to be able to look at our information and be like, hey, between these two lineups right here, I feel like these are the best two lineups on this slate. That's my goal. I'm competitive. I don't. If I won the $100,000 making 25 lineups, I'd obviously be happy, but it wouldn't be the same to me as if I did it making one lineup because I'm a competitive person. I want to be able to build the best lineup. I want to be able to sit here and tell you my lineup is better than yours, and here's why. That's what our site's going to be. That's what we want it to be. We are so thankful that you found your way to this video, and we'd love for you to click the sign up button.